For someone who spent most of their career creating content, I am absolutely blown away by Midday Squares. They just create so much levity and authentic stories, and people are automatically drawn to the brand. If you haven't heard of them, then you must be living under a rock. And if you haven't tasted the product, wow, you are missing out. I am so excited to have Jake Karls on the show. He is the co-founder and Rainmaker at Midday Squares. He brings so much wisdom, enthusiasm, and honestly, I've been watching him for such a long time that I am so honored to have him on the Maverick Makers podcast. I'm going to take a page out of his book and say, let's go. Hi, everyone. I am so thrilled and excited. I cannot wait. This is an amazing episode this week of the Maverick Makers podcast. We have the amazing co-founder and Rainmaker of Midday Squares here, Mr. Jake Karls. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Michelle? I appreciate you. I'm super fired up to be with you. And yeah, honestly, like it's where I am. It's Monday morning. It's pouring rain, and I'm kind of amped about it though. So just something unique. Usually I get sad about rain. Now I feel energized from it for today for some reason.
That's so amazing. And just before we hit the record button, I was saying you're like the natural Tony Robbins. You always infuse so much energy into everything. So thank you for turning rain into sunshine. And I'm wearing these glasses for you, but honestly, I can't see for the life of me, so I'm taking them off. But anyways, this is for you, but I'm taking them off anyways. So here we go. Anyway.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So no, it's honestly, I think energy is critical in life. I think it's one of the most important it's one of the most important things to protect, one of the most important assets to protect. And, you know, if you easily get drained and you're not working on preventing that or, you know, having a solution to that, you're going to not have the energy to go on in life. Like, you know, for me, I always talk about, you know, surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with people that energize you, do things that make you feel alive. And if you're not doing that, I think you're going to have a hard time succeeding in whatever you're doing in life, whether that's relationships in your personal life or whether that's, you know, the business or career that you're doing. I just think protecting energy and recharging that energy consistently is probably one of the best things you can do as a human to win the game of life.
And what are some of those things that you do that create that insatiable energy that gets you, you know, fired up?
I think number one, obviously, I love caffeine. I'm addicted to caffeine. I'm obsessed. And this is not medical advice, it's not anything. I just love caffeine, whether it's good for me or not. I feel alive from it. It's probably not a good thing, but it's part of the game. The second thing is just, you know, I choose, you know, over the last 7 years, I've tried to figure out what I'm good at and what I'm not good at and what I love and what I don't love. And I've worked harder and harder every day to lean into what my superpowers are, but also lean into things that I truly feel energized by and kind of, you know, work to either delegate what I'm not good at or, you know, try to figure out ways around doing things that I really dread. Because we know, I know this sounds cheesy, but we live once, you know, our life is short to a certain extent. You don't know when it's over. So while you're doing either your professional life or your personal life, you might as well be doing things or spending time with people that you really enjoy. And it really makes a big difference. At first, you know, I used to sacrifice everything, you know, all the time with people I care about, or, you know, I would miss this activity, miss that. And then slowly it catches up to you and you realize, like, what am I doing? Why? Like that this actually energizes me, makes me feel more alive. You know, a great example of this is I played Catan, the board game, with my childhood friends, you know, every Sunday night. And I make 3.5 hours for that, board games and pranks and these fun activities. And it's immature, but it makes me feel more energized for the week when I go into the week. And I used to just ignore that stuff and say, well, I have to work. But, you know, now I've kind of taken a different approach where it's like, you know, the more I do things that I really enjoy, the better my work output is, or the better my personal life output is with my wife, my friends, my family. So I think that's critical to winning. And that took me a long time to learn, a long time.
Really interesting. And how do you cut out the stuff that de-energizes you, if that's a word?
Well, there's some things that you just can't, right? So like, those are like things that you just got to bear with and just try to look at it more optimistically rather than pessimistically. Instead of saying like, I have to do that, or like, I'm so not down for that, kind of try to change the vocabulary and be like, okay, like, I'm going to get this done. I'm fired up. Like, you change that mindset, whether it's real or not, I think it has a real effect. So I think that that's number one. And number two is just get clear with your mission, get clear with what you love, get clear with your superpower, have this written out somewhere so you know to always look back at that chart or look back at that document and come back to it. Because I had a burnout 2.5 years ago, and the reason for the burnout was obviously, working very, very hard and not taking breaks. But the second part of it was losing track of my why and getting so lost in an identity that wasn't me. So having that guardrail of that document, and it could change over time, by the way, strong opinions loosely held, but the idea is that document gives you, a nice clear path. And I think having that clear path is something where you can continue to play to your strengths and start to eliminate things that, again, drain you or de-energize you. Because your greatest asset is you. Your greatest asset is how you come out into the world, is the energy you give people, it's the way you make people feel. That's got to be protected and well kept if you want to win.
And what do you say to the people that may say, I don't have time. I don't have time to play Catan. I don't have time to go for a walk. I don't have time.
Yeah, listen, I said it. I've said it many times. I'm guilty of that a lot, but I've worked hard to realize that at the end of the day, you're only, this is going to sound cheesy, but you're only the present. You're not the future and you're not the past. And yes, the past had things happen. In the future, things will happen, which you don't know necessarily. But every moment you have where your feet are on the ground, that's like everything you got to give. That's the 150%. Right now, speaking to you on the podcast, I'm giving 150%, even though I have all kinds of fires going out, for the last couple of days and going to happen in the future. So I'm just focused on you, and doing that makes you make the time for what's relevant and what's necessary. And I think what happens is people worry too much and say, well, I don't have the time. I don't have time for this, blah, blah, blah. And then they go down a negative spiral, or they get into something called analysis paralysis, where they get nothing done because they're too overwhelmed. So just live in the present, as cheesy as it is. It will allow you to work through things, enjoy things, trust that process. I know people always say that kind of statement. It really makes life a lot better in terms of business and personal life when you're living in that present. And it's extremely hard, by the way. It's extremely hard, but you got to block everything out and just focus on that moment. And every day you will get better slowly.
Absolutely. Great advice. I know so many people are inspired by you, but let's talk about some of your inspirations and some of the biggest mavericks in your life. Who do you watch? Who do you admire?
There's this guy named Jesse Cole. He owns a company called the Savannah Bananas. I think it's Jesse Cole. I've been reading a lot of his stuff and watching videos and I read his book, one of his books, and it's just fascinating how he activates in his life and how he makes people feel entertained, excited, fired up. And I get amped up that he was able to take a baseball team and make it a entertainment, a circus, and a crazy fun circus through a traditional sport. And what he makes me think, at least, is number one, think really big, but number two is that being different is cool. Being yourself is powerful. It is unique. It is empowering. And so I look up to guys like that. Then there's just like friends of mine that I respect and I get inspired from a day-to-day basis when they make bold decisions. And then, if you go on social media, there's always these random people that are posting some cool stuff. And I always just take little bits and pieces of things and I bring it to myself. And then my wife inspires me every day to be a better person and to be more, to be more present, to enjoy my life more. And like, these are critical people in my life that I wouldn't be on this podcast with you or be doing what I'm doing without this around me. And you don't have to have these people physically in your life. You could follow them on social media. You could read their books. You could watch their videos. You're getting the same wisdom, more or less. Obviously, it's maybe not as intimate, but it's still people sharing their knowledge, their experiences, which is a blessing. And that's, I'm grateful for the internet and social media, for the cost that it is. It's not that expensive in retrospect to the wisdom and knowledge and experience that you'd be getting from all this stuff. So, I think people get lost on mentorship. It doesn't have to be physical, or you don't have to know that person. You just got to be willing to learn from, the output that they've given to the world.
Hmm. Wow, that's a lot. That's amazing. Let's talk about your journey. Some people may not know about it, but let's, maybe start from the beginning and why you started Midday Squares.
I was always the class clown in high school. Never did so well academically. And so I was always authentically myself, and people loved me for me because I was pranking the professor. I was having fun. And I always had a bit of an insecurity of being, not as strong academically as all my friends, or even the grade, let's call it. And as I went to college down the line, I wanted to prove to people that I was extremely smart, in quotations, because I felt, again, academically less talented. I was always at the bottom of the class. I was embarrassed of my writing. I was embarrassed of public speaking. I was scared to raise my hand in class. So I said, if I could choose a program in university that will make people change the name from class clown to, hey, this guy's smart, I chose to be an actuary, study actuarial science, which is basically deep math and statistics. And, I knew that program was extremely difficult, so people would respect it. And again, I was doing it for everybody else, not for myself. And I hated my life while I was doing it, and I didn't enjoy it. I was working my bum off, and I wasn't getting the grades that, at least I was putting the effort in for. And finally, in third year of university, I was applying to all these jobs, and I got rejected from every financial modeling job I applied to. And I was watching one of those, like, entrepreneurship shows, Shark Tank, and I saw this guy, and he was so inspiring, this entrepreneur. He had so much to lose. He had mortgages on his house. He had all this stuff going on in his life. And he was so happy and fired up. And I was so sad and not fired up, because I was like, I didn't have the job I worked so hard for. And I hated what I was studying. I felt my whole life was like falling apart every day. And in that moment, I was inspired by him. I said, whatever he's on, I need what he's on. And all he was on was this idea that he was purposeful. He was intentional in what he was doing, and he was excited about it. He was alive. He felt alive. And I said, if maybe entrepreneurship will make me feel alive, because I could try to do something that I'm truly passionate about. And that's when I started my first business, which was a fitness business, outdoor boot camps. And I ended up building a nice sized business. I had a lot of fun with it, did it for 2 years, and then I closed it. And then I did another business, which is basically throwing parties and trying to sell clothing on college campuses after, and it failed. And that's when, I was 25 years old at that point, and I was about to go get a job because I was tired of the game of entrepreneurship. It was 5 years. I took a lot of risks. People kept on telling me it's time to get a real job, in quotations. And I was kind of feeling all this pressure. And my ex-girlfriend at the time broke up with me out of nowhere, and I was feeling really depressed. And then my sister, my brother-in-law approached me, and they're like, hey, do you want to join and be our third co-founder in this chocolate bar business that we're calling Midday Squares? And we have the product ready. We've been working on it for the last couple of months, and it's been on our lives for 2 years almost, because they were eating it at home. And they said, we need you to be the brand builder, the hype man, the one that builds the community, make people know about this brand that we're about to launch, and we need you to be part of that. That's your skill set. You don't have to do any ops. You just have to make as much noise as possible and build relationships for this brand. And I was feeling so lost and sad at the time that I was like, you know what? I need someone to keep me really busy and take my mind off all this, the heartbreak and, the anxiety from just failing in a business and feeling like an outlier in a bad way. And I joined, and we launched this company, my sister, my brother-in-law, and I, in August of 2018. And the idea was hopefully build the next biggest, hopefully a chocolate snacking company, in North America, and then hopefully globally. And we were hand making our chocolate bars in our home, in our condo kitchen every day. And fast forward 6.5 years later, we have a fully automated chocolate factory, which I'm sitting in now. It's obviously behind me, much behind me, but that does over 120,000 bars a day. We've sold over 50 million chocolate bars. We sell in over 9,000 stores across North America, Canada, and the United States. And, we've built a very strong online community fan base. And the way we've done it, that's helped us grow, other than product market fit, which I think is critical and a must need for any business that's going to be out there. But the second part is tell a story. We told our story in a very unique way. My whole pitch to my partners in August of 2018 was, we're going to document and share the journey of how we build this business, show the good, the bad, and the ugly. That way, consumers, they don't see products or commodities. They see a brand that they feel part of, or that they're emotionally connected to. So we start sharing like therapy sessions, breakdowns, milestones, failures. And what that did was it made consumers feel close to us before even trying the product. So when they went to the grocery store, they would see it and it would stand out of the 40,000 other products, because they felt like they knew us. They were friends with us because they were watching the journey front row on that roller coaster ride. And ever since then, we've made so many videos. You've gotten millions on millions of organic views. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey. Like really, really, really fucking wild, excuse my language. And we've made a ton of mistakes, but I think we've been right more than we are wrong. And that's one of our core values. And we hope to show the world that you can build a any type of company by being unapologetically yourself and believing in yourself and doing it your way. And that's something that we're truly passionate about.
Holy smokes. For someone who does content for a living, I'm blown away every single time. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, like, wow, this is incredible. And that you cut through the noise and people relate. And I think the word there, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is empathy. Is you've
Yep.
created this empathy that people relate, and you're totally right, because you're not even saying try my product, you're saying listen to our story, and I just think that's brilliant, and I think that's why you're winning. Is there any winning formula that you have with content besides that, besides like the consistency, like anything
I,
you
th-
can share?
I think, yeah, consistency is obviously important, but I think the second part is just be authentic. And I know it's a buzzword, but being authentic means you're different because no one can be you in the world. No one can be the core values of the brand that you work with or the values of the brand that you've built. And I think for us, one thing about our content is we focus on always trying to evoke an emotion. So we kind of reverse engineer it and saying like, okay, like what emotion will this evoke if we put out this piece of content? And we know even if it gets 10 views or a million views, we know that someone's going to feel emotional when they watch the content. That's what's powerful. That's engaging because it always takes one person. Think about this. One person that's listening, watching, reading to change your life completely, to change your course, your business, because that's how powerful sharing your story is. And, everyone's always looking at views and this and that. And I think that it's the wrong way to look at it. I think the best way to look at it is how does it make people feel, and does it make people feel anything? Otherwise, is it the same as everything else out there? And that's what I feel like a lot of brands do is they focus on commoditizing their content, talking about the features, the benefits, the product in itself, which is great, but not every day, not every time. People want more. They want to feel part of. Humans have been craving connection for as long as we've lived. We've also communicated for our whole life and our whole ancestry through storytelling. So brands need to think of marketing in terms of how do we tell a great story that's obviously authentic, because that means belonging is through authenticity and communities built through trust and relatability. So I think that that's the way to approach content. And we got to take away the return on investment and thinking of like just P&L and line items and how much did we get because we posted that. I think focus on how do we make people feel and just let that ride for a period of time, because you'll build a foundational community by doing that. And in the end, it will actually sell a lot more of your product in the long term than in the short term. You might feel pain in the short term, but you have to see it through. You have to see. I always give the example: if you want to build a friendship or you want to go on a date with somebody, it's going to take time and work to start dating or start to get married, better yet, or to even make a friendship. It doesn't happen in 1 second. It happens in consistency and continuing to make people feel and be connected to or trust each other, right? You can't buy that. So I think that's where brands need to switch. The mindset is not so much amount of content, more on how do we make people feel, and do we even like it ourselves is a big thing.
Yeah, you're doing it. What I love is the community you've created. And I was going through some of your videos and whatnot, and Les, and just some of the people. Can you tell me maybe some of the standout people, some of the connections you've made through this community that you've built that have really sort of touched you or changed the trajectory of what you're doing?
I've met a lot of great people and that have helped our business, helped me personally. A great example is a guy named Mike Fata. He's a good friend of mine, and he's also a good friend of Midday Squares. He's as well an investor now. He's also a mentor. For him, we met through content and then through trade shows and all that stuff. But we again, we've helped each other in so many ways, from just entrepreneurship to general life. And again, content's what brought us originally to know each other and all that stuff. So I think that content is going to give you an opportunity to make someone feel something about you or about your business, which can lead to huge opportunities, which has led to us to have investors, has led us to sell into new retailers, hire new team members. Like think about it. They watch the content, they feel something, and then they feel closer. So then when you want to engage with them, there's already a warmer introduction or warmer connection that's made. If they haven't seen the content, they won't necessarily have that feeling, right? So again, if you're a brand or if you're an individual looking for a job or a career, create content. People will take note. And the more they see you, the more they get to know you, the more they might want to work with you. They might want to hire you. They might want to invest in you. And that's just based on human nature. And I think we have to go further as brands. We need to go more and more into human nature rather than just sell, sell, sell.
Big fan of Mike's. He's been on the show. He's awesome. Love him. Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Very smart guy.
Yeah, and love watching his content as well. What are some of your short and long-term goals for Midday Squares?
For Midday Squares, we're scaling this business right now, and we have a 3-year game plan to get this plant even pumping even more, but also expand the brand, build depth. We're launching a new innovation line in the next year, which is super exciting. I can't say what it is, but it's basically, it allows Midday Squares to go wider and hit more customers, get them to fall in love with this brand and deliver something that, is a great afternoon snack for anyone. And I think the more that we build, the more that we can show the world that you don't have to be an expert or you have to be in the square box or do it the way that everyone else does it to build something, impactful or sizable. You could do it by following your gut, leaning into your superpowers and building your own path, right? The three of us, my partners and I, didn't come from food. We all had different crazy backgrounds. We came together. We had no prior experience about, building a food manufacturing plant and a brand, and we just figured it out. And I think that that's the beauty of what we're trying to show is, can we build something so big that can we build something so big and doing while being ourselves that it will inspire a complete other generation or other type of people to just start taking more risks and being themselves and protecting from conformity. Because I think conformity is the easiest. It seems like the least risky path, but it actually is the most risky, because to be an outlier, you need to make unaverage decisions, not average decisions. And that's what we're trying to show the world.
And you are, and it's amazing, and it's fantastic to watch. If you could rebuild, exactly. If you could rebuild your company again, would you do anything differently?
We made tons of mistakes and we continue to make mistakes. We're far from perfect. We're far from experts. We're learning as we go. And luckily we've been a little bit, like I said before, right, a little bit more than we've been wrong. So we've been able to survive and hopefully one day thrive. But I don't regret anything in this journey. I would say that, I can't unsee what I've learned. So I think I would apply some of the knowledge that I have today at an earlier level than I did before, but I didn't have the knowledge, right? We didn't have that knowledge. So I think, we've had a lot of challenging things. We self-manufacture. We went into the refrigerated section, which is, a category it's emerging. It's new, but it's hard on the supply chain side. We've taken a very different approach on branding, sharing, really radically authentic stories that are, things that are sometimes a little bit too bold or a little bit too wild to show. And I think the only thing that I would love to do is create a nut-free line of Midday Squares where, we can have another facility that does nut-free products so that kids can bring them to school. And I'm allergic to my own products, so I can't even try my products. So I'd love to be part of R&D. I'm not part of it right now. And it makes me sad. So maybe that's what I would kind of done differently, is maybe start a nut-free line and do that first. Yeah, that's the dream.
I love it. I love it. I also love that you're so close to your family. So I'm going to ask you a question about this. What's the biggest lesson your mom ever taught you?
I love my mother. She works with us. She shows up for us, and she's very caring and like most mothers out there. To be honest, mothers are amazing. They're the superstars of the world, in my opinion. So I think what I learned from her is two things. You always show up in life, which is super important. If you're going to do something, you show up, and that's a sign of respect. And then the second thing is just is be bubbly, be fun, and bring that energy to the room. And it really does have a powerful effect in everything from sales to finance to media to friendships. It works everywhere. So yeah, I think those are the two things.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. And you're very open and honest about therapy. So let's talk about some of the myths. Why are they afraid to talk about it? Why do you talk about it so openly?
I just think that therapy has changed my life. I'm not going to give anyone advice on it because it's up to them to figure out that for their journey. But I could tell you that in my case, I was like, I didn't want to do it at first, but my partners made me, basically come to an agreement with them that I would go with them, once every 7 or 10 days in good or bad times throughout this journey so that we align on communication and we work together to understand each other and also protect our family and our business partnership throughout this journey. And at first I was very hesitant, and then I became a huge advocate because I saw how powerful it is. It's helped me with communications. It's helped me get through hard moments. It's helped me get through some of the best moments of my life and balance that energy and just get perspective. And I look at therapy as a way to improve communication, and communication is what drives our world in every aspect. So that's why I'm so open about it, is because it's helped me with communications, helped me, become, a better leader, a better human, in my opinion. And I have so much work to do still, but every time I show up to those sessions with my partners and I see each of their faces on the Zoom. For now, it's Zoom. It shows that we're here to continue to win together and continue to show up for each other, and it means a lot. So yeah, I've become a huge advocate, and I think people just need to look at therapy as a way of coaching, and coaching is an empowerment. Every athlete needs a coach. Why doesn't every individual need a coach?
I agree. And I think this is so smart. And think about how many businesses and partnerships would be saved if they actually looked at therapy.
So many, so many. Like, a lot of businesses fail simply because of lack of communication.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Why is it so important to you? I know you mentioned burnout, but why is it important for you to tell people or let them know why they should recognize it?
I just think, like, working on yourself is a cool thing, and you become, if you're open to it and you embrace it and you're engaged with it, I think you have a chance of becoming a better human and a better leader, a better communicator. And communications, like I said, is not just for business or marketing or partnerships. It's with your family, with your friends. It's with a incident that you're experiencing in the world one day, and you have the tools in place to deal with it, right? So yeah, therapy for me, yes, it can help with burnout and all that jazz, but again, it's not medical advice. But I think most importantly, it just it gives you the tools to become a better communicator. I think that's how I look at it.
Hmm. And let's talk about fitness, because I know fitness is so important to you. Why is it important to you, and how does it help you with your business, all that stuff?
Yeah, this morning I worked out at like 6:15. Like, that's when I usually work out in the morning. And after I left, I just felt way more energized. After I left the workout, after 45 minutes, I came out swinging with positivity and optimism. And I think that that's what it does for me. It just makes me feel more alive. And it's always been it's been a part of my life for like 15 years. So it's a way to not only release energy, but also recharge and regain the energy, believe it or not, and to go win the day. So I think if I work out in the morning, when I work out in the morning before I start my day, it always gives me a boost of optimism and aliveness.
So, working out early and caffeine. That's how we get all that energy.
And I read for like 20 minutes every morning. I love reading.
Yeah. What book are you reading?
I'm reading that guy Jesse Cole's book from Savannah Banana. It's called Find Your Yellow Tuxedo, I think it's called. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. All right. Are you ready for this lightning round?
Hit me with your best shot. No, I'm
All right.
kidding.
Let's do it. All right. Truth or dare?
Dare.
Calm or chaos?
Chaos.
I wasn't expecting that one, especially after the therapy. Okay. Interesting. I like it. Impact or inspiration?
Inspiration.
Hmm. What advice are you giving to your 90-year-old self?
Wow, that's hard. I would say care less what others think about you.
Hmm. Good. What superpower would you love to have?
The ability to manage people, to become a good manager.
Hmm. Okay. When are you the most creative?
between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m.
Okay. What's your biggest fear?
It's gonna sound weird because I'm working on this, but not being good enough. It's a strange one, but I have this like weird thing that I'm still dealing with that's I've gotten better at, but it's still there. That I'm not good enough. I don't I shouldn't make it shouldn't work. Like why should it work? Question mark, you know? But I've chipped it away a lot. So I'm getting better, but it's still my I think my largest fear is that.
Hmm. Okay. It's a process. One celebrity you'd like to collaborate with to create your next flavor.
Whoa. One thing I like is I like a guy named Richard Branson. And the reason being is I think he offers a lot of positivity and energy. And I think that there's something to the energy, the feeling of the excitement and the fun. That side of him is something I would love to some sort of collaboration on energy and positivity and hype. He's good at that.
And he's in his mid to late 70s.
Which is crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's wild.
And he's a sir. So I'm a big fan of his. So absolutely amazing.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. How do you want to change the world?
Just show people that you can win by being you.
I love it. Finally, what's next?
Midday squares globally.
I love it. Well, I love this conversation. I love the honesty, the energy. It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're a rock star, Michelle. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And so are you. Thank you.
The Maverick Makers podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.